we're fixing this. As you can see, the dash is nice and floppy. Cut out a big hole where the rust used to be. Weld that into there, get some structure back, start painting it, and then glue down some carpet. Great success. It's all welded up now, which is nice. Again, don't think too hard about it. Gonna sand all this up, paint it, and put some carpet on it. So I rust repaired this corner here and bolted this section back on. This is the cutout for the steering wheel column. This is the whole parcel shelf. Just need to be scrubbed up with a wire brush. Once it was scrubbed up with a wire brush, I then put some rust converter onto it, let that dry, let that sit in the sun. Sunny yesterday. I then put some more of my favorite, all-time favorite, lead oxide paint into it, just to paint it up. I painted a nice bright red, not because I particularly like red, although this is a very nice colour. Again, love red oxide. This is so that when I'm gluing carpet down, I know if I've missed any spots or anything like that, so it forced me to cut it right. So what I'm doing now is I've got the controls taped up and the chrome, and I've sanded this wood here down to about 120 grit. I don't need to go any finer than that. I'm going to put some varnish, some more of that Cabot's stain and varnish, walnut satin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, varnish it. Put that on, be very careful not to overdo it. You can really overload the brush. You can really overload the brush and clump it in one spot. It's got to be really thin. I'm going to do 3 coats, one with the grain, second with the grain, and the third one I'm going to stab and twist, so like that sort of technique, just so I can get some variations in the wood colour, so it won't look so boring. I also grabbed this out because I realised I had to do this one as well. This is the pull-out map shelf that comes out of the centre dashboard, and I've already sanded this one. I can catch no splinters. It feels really good. The underside I'm not going to do. This will have the original veneer on it. Unless you want like a rich luster colour, it's not going to happen. You know, it really is not going to happen. So some wood pieces on the Jag will be a bit crap looking, and that's purely because the wood's petrified. And I'm not about to spend money on wood, so it's just the way it is, you know. So it's been a little while now. Going to be putting the next coat on. So again, just put this on, fairly standard, fairly sober. Make sure it's nice and covered with the grain. I can feel it catching the brush from the tackiness, but this is immediately giving it a different colour again. Light to dark, just like real grain. That's a really nice base. That's a really nice base. So what we can do in the next run is, now that we've got a good base, you know, there's nice streaks in that, now we can corrupt it a little bit by stab, twist, lift, stab, twist, lift, stab, twist, lift, stab, twist, lift. And that'll give it a more of a marbled finish rather than a straight grain, which is not what I want, but this is a good step in that direction. And finally, the final coat, and this is where I'll demonstrate the technique I've been using. That's all. And really got to be light with this one, because clumping it up too much would just make the varnish sag. And just do it until you get a pattern that you like. Sorry, I don't know what to say. Just kiss it and twist it. Kiss it and twist it. Kiss it and twist it. We've loaded up the brush a little bit, so we'll distribute that around to give some more variation to the wood. And again, you just do what you like, you know. It's nice having this sort of freedom when everything else has to be rigid. You know, oh, you must do this to adjust the carburetors. Ah, but you must do this to stain wood. Ah, no you don't. You can do whatever you like. And that's what I like about the arts and creativity as well, is it is that you can just do whatever you like. And the results are just fantastic, you know, where you don't have to follow anything or anyone, you just do what you like. Very nice. Look at that. You can see like where the brush strokes are, but they'll flatten out as well. But the marbling is what you want here, and we didn't have to buy veneer and learn how to apply that and play with heat guns and glue and things like that. And stress about curvatures and how it's going to fit, you know, because the veneer's too thick or too thin or whatever, or snapping it. You know, we just sand it up. Get a nice marble finish anyway. I really like that. Screwing around more with the tray, the dash tray, under dash tray. You know, been messing around with carpets and things, but we've also been messing around with templating up the bumpers that go on the front that are vinyl wrapped. They were quite horrible, and I'm measuring them up at the moment, trying to figure out curves and things like that to yeah, get them stitched together by a seamstress and slap back together. I've got the sub dash back in. Didn't take too long. Nothing's hooked up behind it because I lost some of the bolts. Whoops. I better get organised. That wasn't a good thing to do. So I'm missing like the linkages. Whoops. But anyway, my darling Ruby. She's barking. She's barking in the wilderness over there. But anyway, the interior's, yeah, looking really, really smick. The oil gauge, I didn't actually, the amp meter, I didn't actually have to glue that back together. It just snapped on and twisted on, and that was good again. But man, it's looking really, really snazzy in here. The new varnished dashboard and everything. So after doing a compression test and a spark plug check and all the cylinders, which you can see now on the screen, we've hit a snag. Cylinder number 5 is kaput. I put the spark plug in about 6-7 months ago, and I've been running it ever since then. And I didn't even notice, the power of Jaguars, I didn't even notice that I was only running on 5 cylinders, because that spark plug looks brand new, unused. But it's been sitting in that spark plug hole for 7 months and been in a running engine. So, whoopsies. So, a blown gasket in that case would explain the excessive oil if it's blown into a gallery, a head gasket into a gallery. Explain the instant pressurization of the coolant tank. Could be a stuck valve. However, I think a stuck valve is a bit unlikely because the engine has been running and I haven't had it smack, bang and pop into that cylinder. Or maybe it has, I don't know. So, whoops. Looks like this thing's getting a head gasket, but not before I do some front suspension work, because let's put new suspension on a car without a running engine. Hey, Jesus. So my apologies for the short video this time around. Uni's been very demanding. So after the wet compression test, whether it passed or failed, it depends on your interpretation of what is a pass and a failure in a wet test. It showed to me that going from 0 PSI to 40 PSI after adding in a capful of 2050 oil shows that either the rings are bad or it might still be a blown head gasket. What I need to do is take the head off. The head off needs to come off regardless now. That might be about next month or 2 months away. Take the head off, take the accessories all off, check out what the problem is. I've got a few options I could do. I've got a running 186 Holden Red, which has about less than half of the power this has, but it means I don't have to do any modifications to the car. I can just drop it in, and that's okay because the power is a lot less. And I've just got it, and a 186 Holden Red is like a Lego motor and a Lego kit, and it just all goes together nicely, and you can get parts $1 billion for them, and it's super cheap, and you can just chuck them in and say, screw it, this is going to have that. And yeah, I can do that, that's fine. 90 horsepower, 100 horsepower out of a tank like this, it would be it'll definitely be a driving dynamic, that's for sure. However, I also have a lot of parts for a Hemi 265, 245, and I can put together a Hemi 265. I've got a 265 head, I've got 30 thou over pistons and rings. I just need a Hemi 265 block and I can put it in. However, I went from a CM Valiant Regal to this because of the dual overhead cam engine in here. So I feel like if I put a Hemi into it, I may as well have just kept the Chrysler I just sold, and that's not really what I want to do. I mean, a Barra 6 would be very nice. They're very, very popular at the moment, and you can still get engines for about, you know, engine and transmission combos. A Barra 4 litre with a BTR or whatever they came out with, 4-speed auto thing. You know, 500, 600 bucks, very economical, and you'll never run out of parts for those. And that's, to me, what's most important. It's reliability and parts, and I feel like a Barra would fit the bill so nicely. But that's all speculation now. For a quick rundown for what I want to see, this first priority, I want the XK6. I think it's got a great history and legacy, and it's such a nice engine. You know, you only hear great things about these engines, and they're so powerful and all this and that. You know, there's a reason why I bought this Jag, and it's, yes, it was the triple carbs, but it was more about the engine, and I love the engine in this. So first priority is fix what's in this, and to me that's also the most economical thing, and it's the easiest. You know, it's bolt-on stuff. You don't have to mess around with making your own brackets and things like that. The next option would then be a 6, which would be a Barra 4 litre, but that's neither here nor there. I've got other things to consider, like the suspension. I wanted to be done with this side suspension, and I wanted to show you guys the other side suspension, but I came into a few roadblocks with this suspension. Yes, they're bolt-in ball joints, but I'll put a picture up on screen. I had to put shims. I had to make my own shims because the ball joint cup, you got an upper and a lower ball joint cup, and this original ball joint cup is thicker than the ball joint cup that I bought, but the same bolt pattern and everything, so it will fit. It just needs to be spaced out because it can't actually bottom out because it's trying to press itself into the same gap, but then the lash becomes too tight for the ball. So I had to make shims for that and figure that out. Then came the problem of tie rod arms to connect the steering shafts to the axle. And the problem with that is that Jag Dane, in their infinite wisdom, sells those parts for $121 a piece. So they're trying to get me to spend $484 on just tie rod ends. So 2 per side, adds up to $484 just to steer it. And it's like, no, I'm not, I refuse to pay for that. I do not want to, I know it's a Jaguar, it's a European, but I don't want to show people that you have to spend $500 on steering arms just to enjoy one of these cars. So what I did, I looked at Kingswood studs because I have a HG parts car. I've got a 970 parts car in my paddock, and I've got the whole steering arms already taken off. So this is just sitting around, and the tape is actually pretty good. Tie rod ends are only $17 a piece. I can have, and then I use these centers here, modified a little bit, just cut them down on either end by 15 millimeters. I could then use these to bolt my steering together. Anyway, I think that's going to have to do it. Not much progress in this last month. However, it's definitely given me direction to what I need to do next. So, thank you very much for watching, and stick around for next time when I do things. See you later.